As many of you may know, I am a huge fan of the Minnesota Vikings. Yes, I know, I live in eternal suffering. And with talks over the past few years about old wide receiver Percy Harvin either coming out of retirement or, well, just having a fun retirement, it got me thinking about that R word, retirement. But seeing how I wasn't born before the 1960s, I probably won't get to experience that sweet release. But you know who does? NASCAR drivers. And on top of that, if they're good enough, they may even have the opportunity to come back and get their high-paying job back as well. Now, here are a few prerequisites that I have for this little top 5 list. Number 1 is that these drivers have to run pretty well, or at least respectively, when they retired. This is where you can eliminate guys like Jimmy Johnson and Dale Earnhardt Jr. from the list. Number 2, if they came out of retirement at any point before this, there could not have been a steep performance drop-off. And this is where I would eliminate Matt Kenseth after 2020 and even Jeff Gordon after 2016. Number 3 is that they would need to be logistically possible to be drivers again. So more than likely you can take out the new Fox employee Clint Boyer. So with these prerequisites established, let's jump into the list. Number 5, we have Elliott Sadler. Let's be real, many of you probably remember Sadler's career for these.
He's just mirror driving all over the racetrack. Uh-oh, trouble! Elliott Sadler over once and a half and on his roof. Now the car tumbling hard onto the pavement in turn 3. Caution is out.
Oh, we got a car switch in the somebody upside down.
While those moments are memorable, they mask an overall solid career. In Cup, he scored 3 wins and even had a career-high points finish of 9th in 2004. But where he really excelled was more in the late career resurgence he had in the Xfinity Series through the 2010s. Driving for Kevin Harvick, Richard Childress, Joe Gibbs, Jack Roush, and eventually Dale Jr., he never finished below 6th in Xfinity points from 2011 to 2018. Add to that 4 runner-up finishes in that time and 8 wins in that span, and you have one of the most defining Xfinity drivers of the last decade. After how close he came in 2011, 2012, 2016, and 2017, he would be a great candidate for a comeback for one final run at the Xfinity title. The only real question would be, who would he drive for? At number 4, we have Paul Menard. Menard has never been the flashy type of driver that's going to be competing for wins and doing all these great, awesome moves out there. But what he has been a solid driver that takes care of his equipment. In the Xfinity Series, he had a few top 10 points finishes as well as a top 5. With 3 wins, he was a driver who could be seen as a relatively competitive driver when he was down there. But most remember him for his career highlight in 2011 at the Brickyard.
Hell out of it, come on. 1 lap to go to win the Brickyard 400. Menard dealing with lap traffic. Gordon trying to close in turn 1. Menard is cleared out. Gordon's got to deal with the traffic.
He's got enough fuel. That might be enough now, yes.
Looks good so far. This is going to be the biggest day of Paul Menard's life.
But does he have enough fuel to get to the finish? Gordon clear of traffic. Setting up for the finish. Final corners.
Good corner here.
History at Indianapolis, they'll kiss the bricks together now.
While never being a championship-level Cup star, Menard has always been consistent. When given somewhat competitive equipment, Menard has always finished between 17th and 25th in Cup points and has always scored a few top 10s during the year. So while not a surefire winner, Menard is a great option for a team if they need an experienced driver. Plus, he also can bring his own sponsorship as well. At number 3, we have the Biff, aka Greg Biffle. Biffle is the first driver on this list to have success in all 3 of NASCAR's top 3 divisions. Biffle won the NASCAR Truck Series Championship all the way back in 2000, then followed that up with a Busch Series title in 2002. And after a success in the lower series, he jumped up to Cup and ran pretty well there overall as well. His career peak was a second-place points finish in 2005 with 6 victories, and from 2008 to 2013, he scored 5 top 10 points finishes. What makes him a viable driver to come back, at least in the lower series to me, is his last comeback in 2019 and 2020. In 2019, he came back to the Truck Series, and he basically taught all the youngsters down there how it's done.
Looks like he's still under power off of turn 2.
It's been 6,434 days since Greg Biffle last won a truck race. It was in Phoenix in 2001. But on this one-off, it is a night to remember. Greg Biffle wins at Texas.
Who knows? Maybe one day he can come back and drive the number 69 truck. At number 2, with painful irony in his placement here, is Mark Martin. I know that many of you may be asking why I think Mark Martin would be a good fit for this list. After all, he's been retired for nearly a decade. But tell me, if there was any driver that at 62 years old could make a competitive comeback, who would it be if it weren't Mark Martin? After all, this is the same driver who came runner-up to Jimmy Johnson in 2009 at the age of 50. Age really is just a number for him, and I'm sure that he could go out and kick the kids' asses in the Xfinity and Truck Series, and who knows, maybe he could avenge this finish.
Squeezed Harvick into the wall, and here comes Harvick, the 29, with Matt Kenseth.
Oh, Mark got loose. Mark got loose.
Harvick's getting a run off turn 4. It's going to be a drag race all the way back to the start-finish line. No caution. They're side by side, right to the line. Dog crash. Here they come. Checker flag.
Taking the top spot, and this is no surprise at all, is Carl Edwards. Edwards was, without a doubt, a top 10 Cup driver from the start of his career all the way to the very end. And depending on who you ask, he might have even been a top 5 to top 3 driver in NASCAR. Known for his signature backflips, he did plenty of those because he won a lot. In the Truck Series, he scored 6 wins in 60 starts. In the Xfinity Series, he gathered 38 wins, the 2007 championship, and 6 straight top 3 points finishes from 2005 to 2010. But it was the NASCAR Cup Series where he experienced some of the highest of highs and, of course, the lowest of lows. With 28 career Cup wins, he is one of the best drivers in the sport's history. In 2008 and 2011, he finished runner-up in points as well. 2011 being especially heartbreaking, seeing how he lost in a tiebreaker to Tony Stewart. He never finished lower than 15th in points, and he won in all but 3 of his full-time Cup campaigns. But what really leaves much up for question and wonder is his final start, where on what was at the time seeming to be the last restart of the 2016 season, he defended a slim championship lead over Joey Logano.
On that outside on restarts.
10 to go. They come into the restart zone. Kyle Larson, the outside. Carl Edwards on the inside. Green flag back in the air. They're blocking. Good go down low. Carl Edwards into the wall. He got tagged by the 22. Big hits by the 19. And the caution comes back out again.
That is exactly what we saw Joey Logano was going to try to do.
Because of this last fleeting moment, I really think that you can tell there were still tons in the tank for Edwards. Personally, though, I also think that Edwards is the only currently retired NASCAR driver who could unretire and still compete for a Cup title. For that reason, he is number 1 on this list, and it is no contest. Now, I've given my thoughts. I want to know yours. Who do you think should come out of retirement to race again in NASCAR? Doesn't matter who it is in what series. Let me know down in the comments below. And while you're at it, leave a like on this video, share this video, and subscribe to my channel for more great NASCAR content. And until next time, have a good one.